Tactical Cowboy here. Coming up, we're going to look at an affordable option to store a handgun. Before we take a closer look, I just want it to be known that this company did reach out to me through my Instagram account and offered to send me a free unit in exchange for a review of the product. Initially, I had declined their offer because I did a little bit of research, and for one, it's a made in China product, so I knew that the quality wasn't going to be the best, and two, because there was already a ton of reviews out there, so I just didn't see the need to throw my hat in the ring on this. But then, after a little bit of time passed, I read a story that was local to me about a little 6-year-old girl who was shot and killed by her little brother who was 3 years old. Anytime you hear a story like that, it's very heartbreaking because they are so young, but also because incidents like that are easily avoidable with proper handgun storage. To make it even worse, then the father of the children is a police officer. So you'd think that they would know better. Any parent, there's no excuse whatsoever to have a handgun easily accessible to such small children. Part of the problem with being a parent is owning guns and wanting to keep the children safe from the firearm, but also keeping it readily available or accessible for when an emergency arises, when you might need it. There are some options out there that kind of do both. I think this is one of them. There are available in all different price ranges. So this is just one low budget price option of many. They definitely get better quality and more features the more you pay. But let's take a closer look at this one. Taking a closer look at this safe, you'll see that you have 3 different ways to access it. The first being the biometric fingerprint scanner. Then we have the number keypad. And then lastly, the good old-fashioned key lock. Your quickest, easiest way inside should be your fingerprint. So just use the fingerprint that you have programmed, and it should let you right in. Next will be the keypad scanner, or the keypad. And then last but not least, I won't demonstrate it, but you do get 3 keys with your safe, so you can, I suppose, hide the keys strategically around the house. Also, it comes with a steel cable, so you can tether it to something inside the house, or if you're going to use it in a vehicle. And if you don't want to tether it, then you do have a couple of screws with pre-drilled holes on the bottom. So that would be the recommended way of securing it. And then if you don't want to do that, then the steel cable, or you do run the risk of, if someone does get their hands on the safe that they aren't supposed to have access to the safe, then they just pick it up and walk off with it. But we'll get into the structure of the box in a moment. Next, we're going to get into how big of a gun can you fit inside of here, or whatever contents you may want to store inside of here. Just can be for any purpose really, as long as it's small enough to fit within the box. So as for what you can fit inside of here as far as handguns goes, I am storing an unloaded Glock 17 in here at the moment. As you can see, it is equipped with an optic, a weapon light, and a threaded barrel. So if you are using a gun similar in size, then no issues with fitting it. Also, you could keep a spare 17 round magazine inside of here. Isn't the exact magazine, but there's something for size reference. So I wouldn't recommend using an extended magazine because there's just not really much room in there for it. Maybe like a 21 round magazine, probably the highest capacity magazine I would recommend. Get this out of the way. So you see that the inside does have a thin layer of foam, and then here is how you program it. Pretty easy to program. The battery is it's right here on this inside part. I believe it's a 9 volt. I've had this safe for a little while, just been not necessarily lazy making the video. I just like to have a good feel for the product before I immediately make a video on it. So I do have some experience with it. So let's get into the material while I have it open. So the material, it is all steel, but it is also very thin steel. I don't know the exact thickness or gauge, but it's not heavily built. I honestly can't even tell you how much it weighs. They probably have that information listed on Amazon, but off the top of my head, I don't have that information in front of me. Again, it is thin gauge steel. It does have a slight bend in it from where I was prying it open, or at least attempting to pry it open. When it is closed, then before I pried it open, it did have a very little gap, but it has enough wiggle room that I could easily fit a crowbar in here. Say easily. There it goes. So got the crowbar in there, and then I went to pry up on it, and after putting a good bit of pressure on it, then I noticed the lid bending, and I do plan on keeping this, using it, so I don't want to damage it to the point of it not being usable. So I stopped before it did pop open or bend anymore. But this is definitely could be accessed with a crowbar. Another thing that I noticed while using this Harbor Freight shop light with a magnet on the bottom, I had it sat on here like so, and then whenever I got done using it, I went to remove it, and I noticed that it pulled a good bit up on the lid, creating a pretty good gap. So that was a bit concerning. Try it over here where there's not as bent, but it still pulls up a good probably about a quarter of an inch, creates a quarter of an inch gap. So something to keep in mind about this build quality. If you didn't already know, this is a made in China product. I guess I'll talk about how the overall quality actually just feels in the hands. So like I said, it is metal, but these keypad here, they are plastic buttons, so that kind of makes it feel kind of cheap. I'd prefer like a rubber type material. I guess talk about any issues I've had. I have had issues accessing this, but it really isn't any worse than if you have an iPhone or any other biometric device that you encounter whenever you get some sweaty hands or just dirty hands. If my hands get a little clammy, then I'd play around with accessing it, and it would deny me access. Working out here in this garage, then I've played around with it while my hands were sweaty, and I'll have some video footage of how it locks you out or denies you entry with a sweaty hand, so I'll insert that. The only other issue I've had is I had a couple times I've had access using the keypad. I'll go to press the first digit, and I don't know if I just not pressing it just right to where maybe it's not, you know, pressing directly in the centers, maybe here in a corner, or what it is. But I go to press it and it just doesn't register. Then I just try again, press firmer, and it works no problem. So that's just something else to keep in mind. Overall, I'd say it's been a pretty good experience. I think that for the price point that it comes in at and the quality you get are pretty much on the same level. If you want higher quality, you're going to have to pay a higher price. That's just the way it is. For my purpose, then I think that this meets my needs. I just want to keep my kids away from my firearms until they get older. So this will do the job. You know, definitely keep the keys hidden, and you know, come up with an access code where it's not easily guessed. Other than that, then you know, just don't program anybody fingerprint you don't want them to have access to. You should be good. Because of the biometric giving me what trouble it has, then I can't really say that I would recommend this for like a bedside home defense gun, just because you know, if I was to want one for that purpose, then I think that I would want some backlit keypad. That way, if the biometric did deny me access, then I would immediately go to the keypad, and you know, if you're in a pitch black room, then you won't be able to see the numbers. So I definitely would want backlit so I could actually see what I'm doing in the dark. So that's one reason why I wouldn't recommend it. Again, just the overall build quality, then I'd want something a little bit more heavier duty, but that's my opinion. I do have an affiliate link if you're interested in making a purchase. Then you can use that link and help me out, support the channel that way. I appreciate you watching. Until next time, Tat Cowboy out.